Hey y'all, how's everybody doing? Well, I wanted to have a time with you that is spiritual in nature. I had just done a makeup tutorial and I just felt led afterwards to talk to y'all about a couple of things. And so let's just get started. How y'all doing? I never want to just get started without seeing how you're doing. And I know some of you may go, Beth, you're filming, you're not live. I'm going to start doing live because I know somebody else did live, and she took like an hour to talk and put on her makeup, and I thought, if she can do that, I should be able to do that. So I'm going to learn about live. What that will mean is I will tell y'all through either Twitter or Instagram or maybe through another video a date and a time that I will go live, and then you will go live with me. Okay, and then that means that I'll be able to watch you on my monitor and see your interactions with me. And like, you can ask me real live questions, what am I trying to say? Yeah, real time questions, and I can answer you, or we can just talk. You don't have to ask me questions. I don't have all the answers, but if you want me to, I'll try to do my best. All right, so let's talk. First of all, I'm going to have a nice little drink of decaf coffee right now. I've already had 1 cup of coffee, and so I never have 2 because I will just be like so miserably like yuck. So the second cup will always be a decaf cup, and I do like the Krispy Kreme decaf Keurig. Anyway, let's get to it. So what I wanted to talk to you about is, y'all know that my ministry is called Have Hope, and I've found out since then lots of people talk about hope. Here's something that I want to get really, really clear, though, about hope. God is really clear on how he feels about misplaced hope. What does that mean? Hope is trust. It's trusting in something you can't see yet. That's all these words: trust, belief, faith, hope, all imply, you can get all funky about the actual dictionary definition, but what it basically is saying is that you are placing your hope in something, and we were created to place our hope in something, and it can be another person, it can be a place, it can be a thing, it can be a set of systems. We were made to have hope, and that hope means that you will trust in what you place your hope in. And that's where Eve messed up big time. She had everything she could need, and she listened to a voice other than the Lord's, which sounded very similar on purpose. And she paid attention to that instead of what she knew, which was the Lord's voice. And she caused the fall of man. And then man caused the fall of mankind. When you start thinking about the role of women, it's a pretty important role. You can help raise up or cause to fall your husband. Alright, so this is very, very important. What I'm obviously talking about is in the Garden of Eden, when Eve listened to Satan. He tried very much to sound like God because he wishes he was God. That's why God had to cast him out of heaven. And he said, did God really say? And then he told him, hey, God just doesn't want you to know. And God didn't. That was the truth. But he twisted the truth. Satan twisted that truth. God didn't want Eve to know. He wanted her to have hope, to have trust, to have faith, to believe in God instead of having to know. What was the tree that he said she couldn't take fruit of? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. Not just the knowledge of evil. People say, well, that's when she finally found out about evil. It's when she finally found out about anything, knowing it versus trusting God. When you blow trust, guys, what happens? Have you ever had someone blow trust with you? Comment below. When someone blows trust with you, this is one I'll never forget. I had this talk once with Michael when he was young, and I said, Michael, don't ever blow my trust, because once you blow it, it's likely I'll never be able to trust you again, because then after you blow my trust, I'll always wonder, is he lying again? You don't blow trust, and that's why God said, don't take to knowing. Trust me. If you need anything, I've got you covered. I've got everything you need. I want you to depend on me. Why? Because he's a selfish God? No, because he's a loving God. He calls it a jealousy, but it's not the jealousy of human jealousy that's awful. It's that he wants you only for himself, because he knows that he can care for you and take care of you. Whereas if you listen to another voice, that other voice wants to kill and destroy you. And God is jealous for you to keep you away from that other voice. Satan and his demons who want to destroy you, not because he hates you. He hates God, and God loves you. You're the object of God's love. And Satan hates God because he wanted to be God, and God wouldn't let him. And so he wants to destroy God by destroying what God loves, which is mankind. But here's the thing. He can't do it. When we turn to God, we're indestructible, because God's indestructible. When we get like Eve was before the fall, where she depended on God for everything, that is when we are safe. That's why it's so important to place your hope. You were made to be a person of hope. To place your hope in God through Jesus Christ. And let's just talk about this a minute. God's people, the Israelites, the Jewish people, are supposed to hope in God, but frequently they would place their hope in something else. And sometimes it was in their relationships with foreign nations, with other nations. They thought, well, if we can get in good with them, then we'll be safe. Instead of saying, well, if God says we'll be safe, we'll be safe. It doesn't matter our relationship with them. He'll take care of them. And you've got to remember that God promised to bring down the nation of Egypt. And then, that way, Judah would no longer look to them as the source of its hope and its help. God took it very, very seriously, y'all. The placing of trust in anybody but him, or anything but him. And he still does. Excuse me. Jesus rebuked those who trusted in anything but God, including riches, which if you want to look these scriptures up, well, go ahead and place me on hold, get you your little spiral-bound notebook that you do when we talk, or just a piece of paper or whatever. Matthew 6:19 through 21, that's when we are rebuked for trusting in riches instead of God. In religious heritage, in Matthew 3:9, meaning you're trusting in, I was born Catholic, or I was born Baptist, or I was born into this, and we had this great heritage, and God says, I don't care what you were born in, that is not a relationship with me. You have to place your personal faith and trust in me to become a Christian. And so don't put it in what your heritage is, your ancestry is. You place your trust in me personally. Also, any religious activities, or even if they're good activities, you don't place your trust in them. And we're warned about that in Mark 13:1 through 2. Confidence in anything, or anyone, or any ritual, or any history, other than a relationship with God, is a very serious issue of not trusting God. And what did God do to Eve for that? It was the fall of man. Like Israel, all Christians, all people must learn to trust God. And that trust line that you cross is when you become a Christian. And you never look back. That's how you become a Christian. You say, Lord, I'm going to quit trusting in myself. I'm going to quit trusting in mankind. I'm going to quit trying to have my own way and my own lifestyle and my own desires, riches, hopes, and dreams. And I'm going to put it all in you. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to place my hope in you. And from then on, I'm never looking back. It's me and you. And whatever comes, I will still not look to the things from before, or myself, or other people, or other things. I'm going to trust in you. And the moment that you pray that prayer, or what prayers are, is just talking to God. The moment that you make that decision to place your trust in God, and you start living for him to prove it, that's where your faith plays out in works. The works don't save you. They'll just start showing up. Because you are trusting God. You'll trust for how you live, how you talk, how you think, the things you do, the fact that you do for others. And you do the works of the Lord towards the church, meaning the church body. maybe even a church building or church programs, but you do all that because you're trying to be obedient to what God would have you do with your life, because now it's not your life anymore. You've given it up and placed all the trust about your life in His hands. That's what salvation is. It is saying, you know what? Jesus died on the cross for me. Here's the thing. There's all throughout the Old Testament and parts of the New Testament, you hear about the day of the Lord, okay? And it's a common expression for God's judgment. And there's a comfort for those of us who know Jesus, because we know that the judgment for sin is God's. And He has placed what the judgment will be on Jesus Christ. That's who our judge is. So the Father has put judgment on the Son. So that's a pretty important role of the many roles. And here's the thing. It is His other role as the sacrifice for us that makes that judgment for us go away. So when you accept that sacrifice of Jesus Christ, His judgment for sin is paid. His life was given so that yours doesn't have to be. And so what do? You give your life to Him, and He gives His life to you. You make a trade. It's a trade. People say, well, you don't have to do anything. Yes, you do. You have to trade your life. And when you trade your life for His, you get His perfect sin-free life. He gets your sinful life. It died at the cross, and now you place all your faith and all your hope and all your trust in what He did in the cross, and you're going to live for Him, and you're going to trust Him for the rest of your life. God will come to this earth, and there will be a judgment. And Jesus taught that ultimately there would be a final act of judgment for all of humanity. Look at Matthew 25:31 through 46, and John 5:22. And He's giving us a chance for escape at the cross, and saying, if you'll place your faith and your trust in me, you can escape the coming judgment for sin that God has. His wrath is on sin, and you can escape that through Jesus Christ. And that is who we place our hope in. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will talk to you again soon. Love you.